Hello and welcome to the Melissa Global Intelligence Express Entry Filtering webinar for saving maximum keystrokes when entering addresses. First of all, as an introduction, let's answer the question, what is Global Express Entry? Express Entry is an auto-completion web service that takes in partial addresses and returns verified and standardized addresses that match the search term. It can help prevent cart abandonment in e-commerce sites by saving 1/2 of the keystrokes which are normally required to enter the address. It uses REST for the input and XML or JSON for the output. JSON-P also is supported and is a point of entry solution to bad data quality. When typing addresses in Express Entry, the most relevant addresses may not be on the top of the pick list. Sometimes the service responds with addresses in other states, cities, zip codes, etc. Finding the correct address requires more keystrokes, but with filtering, only the most relevant addresses are shown. So there are 6 filter types. Zip code filtering, as its name suggests, filters by multiple zip codes. Zip Centroid includes only addresses within a distance from the zip code Centroid and will be available soon. State restricts the output to a state or number of states. City uses the zip code filter to filter out the zip codes that comprise the city. That's how you can filter out responses by city. Latitude and longitude restrict the output to within a certain distance from a point. And RBDI, return only residence, business, or unknown addresses. There are 3 list types that go along with the filter types. One is the preferred list, which returns addresses at the top of the list, then all other addresses. Second is the white list, which returns addresses that match the filtering criteria. And then there's the blacklist, returning addresses that do not match the filtering criteria given. Features and benefits of filtering in Express Entry are, first and foremost, it is the saving of keystrokes. Express Entry also presents only the most relevant addresses first, depending on the list type, and it can help boost conversions and reduce cart abandonment by making the checkout process more efficient for your customers. Tips on using filtering in Express Entry. First, use one filter type. Second, choose one list type, as most filters support all 3 kinds of lists. Then, combine these two to filter the pick list results. And note, Express Entry filtering does not filter results from the entire database, just from the pick list. And note that filtering at this time only works with the Global Express Freeform endpoint and US data. So let's start with zip code filtering. With it, we can put the desired results at the top. For example, if I use 92614 as the preferred zip code, addresses that have the zip code 92614 will be at the top of the list. This is referred to as the preferred list. Besides the preferred list, there is also the blacklist and the whitelist. The blacklist will only return addresses that are not in zip code 92614, and the whitelist will return addresses that are in the zip code 92614. So the difference between the old service and the new is that with filtering, you are not restricted to one zip code. Say, for example, you want to serve addresses in Salem, Oregon, just put 93701, 93702, etc. into the ampersand filter list parameter until you have the whole city covered. That's how you can filter responses by city in Express Entry. So let me show you a demo of zip code filtering. Here we have a tester which will enable us to use filtering and the freeform request to search for addresses. So if I search for 48 Cedar L as my search term, you can see that two addresses come up. One is in Irvine, California, and the other is in York, Pennsylvania, very far apart. Now, if I want only addresses that are in California and Oregon, and I want to be able to filter out all the other states, all I need to do is go to my filter in this demo. I'll do a filter term of zip, a filter list of 92614 and 92615. I will do the list white equals true to give the white list. And then let's do another search. 48 Cedar L. And as you can see, 48 Cedar Lake in Irvine, California is the only address that came up on the pick list. So if you do business in a certain area, this zip code filter list can be very handy. Filtering by zip centroids will be available soon. As an example, a pizzeria that only wants to deliver to a customer living within 10 miles of a zip code could use this option. Filtering by zip centroid allows a max distance parameter, and this filter only supports whitelist searches. And again, that will be available soon. Filtering by state. As an example, say you want to restrict searches to two states, Oregon and Washington. Again, the rest parameter ampersand administrative area equals only allows one single state. You can apply a preferred list of Oregon and Washington with list white equals true to get the desired addresses. Or say, for example, you want to ship only to the continental United States. Use filter list equals AK, HI, and list white equals false to essentially blacklist Alaska and Hawaii. And let's see a demo of that. So I'll set my filter term to state. My filter list, I'll make Oregon and California. And I'll set list white to true. Max distance isn't used in this particular filter. So again, well, let's look up 48 Cedar Lake. And as you can see, only 48 Cedar Lake in Irvine, California appear because only California and Oregon were on the pick list. Okay, so latitude and longitude is another way of filtering pick list results. This method of filtering can be used with a max distance parameter to restrict results to a radius. Simply pass the latitude, longitude, and the maximum distance. And you can get the latitude and longitude from HTML5, assuming that you're using a web page. So addresses outside the radius are not displayed. This filter's results can be sorted by distance. The nearest address is at the top. The next address is the next nearest. And to use this feature, add and sort type equals distance to the request. So let's see a demo of the latitude and longitude filter. So I'll set our filter term to lat long. Now in the filter list, we'll go the latitude and longitude that we want to have to be the central point in our circle. Now obviously you're not going to want to have to type that in for every address, so that'll be available in HTML5 for you. So we don't have to worry about the list white parameter, and we'll set the max distance to 12 miles from the point. So if I do a 10640 SE, you can see that I'm getting only addresses that are close to Portland, Oregon, which has the nearest address, and only 5 addresses. So you can see that the lat long parameter has filtered out the results, and the addresses outside that radius of 12 miles from the point are not displayed. Now, what if you want to have all those addresses sorted by distance so that the nearest house is right next to, is at the top of the pick list? You can see the nearest address is at the top of the pick list. It was actually in Clackamas, Oregon. And down the list, the second address will be the second farthest, second nearest, I should say. The third address will be third nearest, and so on. RBDI, Residence/Business Delivery Indicator. If interested in only residential or business addresses, you can filter on the RBDI value. For example, you can see all the residential addresses on a street, or filter out only business addresses and don't allow unknown or residential ones. The possibilities are residence R, business B, or unknown U. So for this filter, I'll set the filter term to RBDI. And let's set the filter list to R for residence. The list white equals true to whitelist addresses that are residences. And we don't need the max distance parameter for this filter. So let's look up 7 Southeast Harmony Road. And as you can see, if you plot all these points on a map, these are all residences. Now, what if I wanted businesses and not residences? I would just change the filter list to B and do another search. And these will be all the businesses that are in that area with the 7 Southeast Harmony Road prefix, I should say, in the search. Okay, so now we'll take some questions. More information can be found on the wiki, which is the link is available right here. I'll just go ahead and take some questions, and I'll give you guys a few minutes to type those in. Okay, so one of the questions is, how does filtering work? Okay, so behind the scenes, filtering uses REST parameters to narrow down or arrange the results that appear in the pick list. So basically, behind the scenes, ExpressEntry returns a certain amount of results from the database and then applies the desired filters to make the list more intuitive for your users. Is there any extra charge for filtering? No, filtering is part of the ExpressEntry service, and there's no extra charge to use it. How many keystrokes can I expect to save? With Global Express Entry, you can expect to enter addresses in about 1/2 of the keystrokes normally required. With filtering, you can save even more. thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate your comments.